Okay, we're back. So the quadratic formula we've been talking about. So if I have a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, notice I have to have the 0. Then the quadratic formula given by, have you memorized it? Minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over top of 2a. Be able to say it. If you can say it, then you can write it. I will quiz you on this. I will stop you in the middle of the hallway and say, tell me the quadratic formula. You must know it. Now, what does it tell us? Well, there's two values here, and these x values are going to be the x values that allow this left-hand side to equal the right-hand side. We call these x values by many names. Sometimes they're called the solutions. Sometimes they're called the zeros. I think you can see why. If it equals 0, these are the x values that give you 0 and y. They're also called the zeros, the roots. That's a weird one. Sometimes they're called the roots of the equation. And if we take those x values and if we put them in point form, we know that the y value is going to be 0. So if we take the values of x that they give us, we know the y value is 0. So what these actually are x-intercepts. There are x-intercepts on the for the parabola. So what we're talking about is we get a parabola. Okay, so I've got a parabola, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. I set y equal to 0, so I've got this. I use the quadratic formula. And I've got two values of x. One of them is when I add, the other one's when I subtract. And those two values of x, ladies and gentlemen, are going to show up here, where one of them will be minus b minus square root b squared minus 4ac over top of 2a. That'll be the one x value. And the other x value is going to be minus b plus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And that's how that's going to, those are the x values. Now remember, this is your y-axis. So that's going to equal 0 for those, making these your x-intercepts. That's what we found. Now what's interesting is that the quadratic formula works for all quadratics. Only some quadratics factor, but all quadratics can have the quadratic formula used on them. What it means to the picture, we have to interpret. But let's be clear, all quadratics, all of them, can be solved using the quadratic formula. Not all quadratics can be solved by factoring. Factoring's faster, factoring's more convenient, but it doesn't work for all of them. We're going to stop there.